I found my thrills on Blueberry Hill.
Coach, if you just want to start with just a few thoughts on this afternoon's game, then we'll take some questions from the group.
Well, very pleased. I was really proud of our effort. Sometimes it's difficult to come off a loss and then try to regroup 2 days later and play against a very good team, 9-3 coming in. It's one of the better Cal teams that they've had since I've been in the league. And I just thought we got a great start. Played well at both ends of the floor, shot it really well, and it just kind of snowballed from there. Everybody contributed, which was great. A lot of different players had good games, so it was really it was just a great team victory, and we needed it. We wanted a little bit of momentum going into what could be a very difficult week with 3 games in 5 days, 2 of which are against teams that made the Final Four last year. So, yeah, it was, I think, really necessary that we played well and get the win today.
Thanks. We'll begin with James Creppier, the Oregonian.
How was it that you guys were able to achieve that much better ball movement just 2 days later, Kelly? And how in particular that it was not just the guards, but that Niara had 5 assists and 4 of them kickouts on threes?
Yeah, I think, James, that was the biggest difference between the 2 games. We focused on it yesterday in practice. We obviously watched film, and that was our emphasis tonight. Just move the basketball, be playmakers for others. You know, Niara the other night would get it inside, and she had sometimes 3 players on her. You know, we need to use that to our advantage. She needs to kick that out. And you mentioned that she had her 5 assists. I thought she did a great job there. Yeah, just which, you know, I'm really proud of the team for that. Something we focused on, and then they went out and executed it. So good on them.
Next, we'll go to Eric Scopel, 247 Sports.
Coach, well, I'm sure we'll talk a lot about the offense, but to hold them to 15 made field goals in a game, I know they hit a lot at the free throw line, but that's pretty impressive. And I just thought the way you guys attacked them on the perimeter too and forced a lot of turnovers, just the defensive effort.
You know, it's funny, Eric, I think we're at our best when we scramble and try to make plays. I think when we're soft defensively, I think we're just not as good all the way around. I think it energizes us. We got more in transition tonight, and sometimes maybe not, you know, a layup or something like that, but a quick pass to an open 3-point shooter, and that came from our defense. Yeah, the one area, you know, you mentioned if there was one weakness tonight, we just fouled too much and kind of silly fouls. Now, the game was being called tighter than normal, but you have to adjust to it. Every game's a little bit different. But by and large, yes, I thought we had a really good defensive effort. And I didn't realize, I haven't really perused the stats. I haven't looked at them that closely. I didn't realize it was only 15 field goals. I knew it wasn't many.
And we'll go to Aaron Heisen, Bailey Emerald.
Yeah, Coach, this was a pretty impressive win, like a statement win this season. And I was just curious, you know, what was the vibe like in the locker room after? Were the girls confident about the season going forward?
Well, I don't know if they're confident about the season going forward. We celebrated this win. That's all we want to do. I mean, we'll worry about Thursday's game tomorrow. But yeah, I think they were pretty excited. I think we just needed a good win like that, you know, and I think tonight we showed flashes of what it can look like when we're playing good basketball. We have a lot of different weapons, and I was particularly impressed with Tahina tonight in terms of she was looking to score, not just for herself, but to set other people up. I thought she was a lot more unselfish tonight, and you know, it paid off. And Sydney had a hell of a game. I mean, my goodness, when she can, you know, spread the court like that and shoot like that, we become a different team.
We'll go back to James.
I realized this 5 was really out of necessity, Kelly, and you didn't have the option because Sedona wasn't there, but you've always had kind of various ways to play in terms of lineup. So I'm not trying to pigeonhole you here, but this is stylistically closer to what you were playing a couple of seasons ago. And at the same time, you want to be able to play Niara and Sedona together against the bigger teams, the more physical grinding teams like a Stanford, hopefully again. Do you think you found something here that bears some merit in terms of
No doubt.
keeping the 4 guards and then rotating either Sedona or Niara in order to take some minutes off of them in some moments too?
Yeah, no doubt. That's a great point. And I know we've talked about being able to play different ways and compete different ways. That the small ball lineup really worked well this week. And you're right. There were a lot of similarities, side ball screen kind of action, let Tahina, India make plays, get in the lane, Maddie, and kick out. That's kind of the way we did it for a few years. Sedona's not going anywhere though. I think, she's certainly going to have a place. I don't know what we'll do. We'll see. I think maybe sometimes we can match up to our opponents. That great team that we had the year before the pandemic got to that Final Four. We were beaten by a team that went with the high-low and power basketball. So there's a place for that too. I'd like to think that we can play both ways, but gives us something else to think about and look at.
Back to Eric.
Just going to ask you a kind of a follow-up on Tahina. You talked about the difference in, I guess, results for her from Friday to today, 4 for 18 a couple of days ago, 8 for 13 today. Was it better shot selection? Was it just making the shots? I mean, do you think she was taking better shots today? Was it different from Friday or just different result because maybe she was in more of a rhythm and got comfortable?
You watched the game, right? I think she did. It was more in the flow. We got the ball to the second and the third side of the floor more tonight. And, she's such a competitor. She wants to come back. And I thought she forced it a little bit the other night. Tonight, she just let it come to her. I'm really happy for her. She needed that. It's been a long time, and she really needed a game like that. Good question, but I think you kind of knew the answer, huh? You had
Go ahead,
a
James.
paragraph already written, Scopel. I know how to operate, bro.
Sedona had
Go ahead, James.
Sedona had posted a little bit behind the scenes, illuminating what the Friday was for her. And I realized I could ask you this probably more in a couple of days, but given the moment of it, I realized she was the one traveling back and whatnot. But amidst everything, that's got to be a bit of a not just bizarre but unnerving experience. The whole traveling back alone on a medevac plane and all of this, and not doing it. Not that there was ever a good time to do it, but it's after people are vaccinated and everything else. What goes into it on the back end for you, for whoever's meeting her, to get her back to an apartment and whatnot, and how you try and keep in touch with a player when by default she must be isolated throughout this whole process?
Yeah, it's difficult. I'm glad though, James, they've switched it to the 5 days. I mean, we're following the CDC guidelines. It was a lot worse when it was 10 days or even 14 days. Remember that a short year ago. So, she's already served a couple of days of her sentence. We'll be there for her. I mean, we've talked each day, and she's going to let us know how she's doing through that social media. We'll know exactly what's going on. Now she's got a lot more time for some content. I don't know if I particularly want to know what the content is, but she'll be back in a couple of days. She'll be able to practice with us a little bit, I think, before we play. I'm not exactly sure how far they go back on that timeline, but that's difficult. It's especially for someone as social as she is, to have to be in there by herself. The good thing is she does not have a roommate on the team. So she has her own place. And, so I don't think they moved her into special housing. Do you know that? I don't know that.
Time for a couple more here, Coach. We'll go to Aaron.
Coach, when you see Sydney knock down some of those threes early on, and she's shown that she can be a very streaky shooter and, a hot shooter in spurts, do you tend to set up plays and go to her so that she can keep shooting in that zone?
Yeah, we ran a couple of specials to give her looks early on after she was rolling, but most of it was just done organically, to be honest with you. They went to that zone a few times, you guys, and it was like shooting fish in a barrel. I mean, it was it was pick a shot. And so a lot of it was just done organically. And we have a smart team. Tonight reminded me a little bit of that, the team in the past. Remember when we used to have different players would score 30 on any given night. Our players were smart enough and unselfish enough to keep feeding them. And that's what they did tonight. So looks like we're maturing a little bit this weekend. Overall, obviously you don't want to go 1-1. You always want to go on a road trip and go 2-0. But relatively speaking, you guys, I feel real good about this road trip. I think we made advances. We got better, and hopefully now we'll be better on Thursday. How's that? And Thursday, Saturday, Monday. Thank you, Pac-12. 2 teams back-to-back against 2 teams in the Final Four after having just come off a 3rd team in the Final Four. I can't say anything. I'll probably get in trouble.
On that end, I will go ahead and end it now, Coach, for you, and we'll see you back here later this week.
All right. You guys are the best. See ya.
Thanks, Kelly.